So check this out.
This is the A&R Desk with Spot Brooklyn.
Chemistry so strong, yes, and attraction so real. The two souls become one, passionate for a field, ready to lay it on the line. Emotions so toxic, creating feelings deep inside both of our bodies. I see the way you're looking at it, boy, you want it, don't fight it, come and push up on it. Yeah, I can tell that you like it. You got me so excited. I wanna feel you right now, all over my body. And ain't nobody got to know, no. I want you to give me just a little bit, babe. Just a little bit of your love. Give me just a little bit, babe. Just a little bit of your love. I want you now, you're on the floor. Just like a movie scene, suspense is killing you. So many emotions, I know you feel it too. A connection so powerful. I like it when you do it to me, when you touch me, when you kiss me, when you suck up on me. Yeah, I can feel the excitement pulsating inside me. I'm about to explode, and I want you to give me just a little bit, babe. Just give me your love, give me just a little bit, babe. Baby, just a little bit of your love. I want you now, you're on the floor, and ain't nobody gotta know. So won't you give me just a little bit, babe. Just a little bit of your love. Just a little bit of your love. Just a little bit of your love.
This is
Shout out to everybody jumping on today for the A&R Desk. Today we got some work to do. Yeah, we got work to do, y'all. Let me just get this set together. Alright, so if you're just jumping on right now, today we're gonna have a master class. We're gonna be talking about branding and pitching. I think one element that a lot of artists don't get together. They don't get it together. In the meantime, I want to send a shout out to everybody that's jumping on. Much love to y'all. Please share this if you think it's valuable. And disclaimer, take from it what you wish and add to it as much as you want. What I'm going to be sharing today is perspectives. Not only that I use it for me, but I use this and I'm sharing this. What I'm going to share with you, I use this when I'm consulting with brands like Instagram, which I just consulted for Instagram about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if nobody saw my post. I think I did a day in my J's in there. And they were like, don't film it here. I still had to film a little bit, but I did have an NDA that I do want to honor because they took care of me to honor it, and that's good business. But what I'm going to be sharing today is techniques that I use not just for rap, not just for music. I'm talking about business. You could apply this anyway. Anywhere and any way you could apply this, even in just social construct environments. And again, we're going to be talking about branding and pitching. And I'm going to crunch this a lot because we're still going to play music and we got to guess at 10. We got to guess at 10, and we're doing an actual music release of shout out to the Black Soprano family, Tone. He got a video that just dropped. We airing that. So shout out to everybody going on. I just wanted to give y'all a good rundown real quick. Shout out to everybody on the MG Presents, Apple TV, Google TV, and all the other TVs that we are. on. Yes, we got a live show, but I just want to let everybody know when we play your music, we broadcasting it to the world. And right now, the Philippines is loving y'all. So shout out to the Philippines for supporting all the music we play on this show, because they make up about 90% of our viewership right here on especially on the app. So they are bubbling. So what's up? Shout out to that. Have you ever pitched a product that you really believe in? Yes, I shipped a product not only that I really believe in, I shipped a product that would change and innovate the music business. Yeah. And not only did I shop it to Universal, I shopped it to Sony as well. But what we're going to start off with today, and we're going to get right to it, and then we're going to play right after this, we're going to play the BS Tone new release. We're going to set it off with branding. And branding, I think, is a superficial thing that a lot of us, we get this concept of just because I got a logo, I'm branding. Just because I post, I got a branding. Just because I got it on merchandise, I'm branding. And that is not branding. That's labeling, right? There's a difference between branding and labeling. Completely different. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that, but we're going to talk about how to do it. And one of the key elements that I use, and sorry if I'm rushing or feel like I'm rushing, because I want to get to work. I see a lot of great, I keep stressing, I see a lot of great talent, man. A lot of great products, and we missing out on this, right? There's this technique that I use called the INC technique, the INC technique. And each letter means something. And the first is the I. And the I is image, insinuation, and imagination. I don't know if y'all want to get y'all pens out or rewrite this or review it later, but I'm gonna say that again. Image, insinuation, and imagination. When you're thinking about branding, these are the first three things that you have to establish: your image, insinuation, and your imagination. A logo is not only a presentation of you, but it's a presentation in your absence. When you're not there, your logo represents you. Nike's main office is wherever it's at, right? But every time someone sees a check, automatically everything, the representation of what Nike is there. If you see a Rolex, automatically the reputation, everything, it creates what? An image, an insinuation, and an imagination. Now you have to build those. They don't just come. Salute to everybody on. Much love. He said the A&R desk itself was a pitch at one point, and Peter was hating. It was, and we're gonna bring the pitches back. This is why I'm actually doing the show, because we're gonna bring the pitches back, and these pitches are gonna have some really interesting outcomes. So that's what I want to go back to what I was saying: the image and insinuation and imagination. Now, when we first start with our logo, we get our image, right? Now you have to keep in mind, and keep me, when I was building my logo, my manager at the time said we got to have a stamp, something that represents you, right? So immediately I went to like my life story. Like I wanted barbed wires and I wanted like a shell of a gun here and a rose here. You know, it insinuated this hardship. And he was like, nah, bro, nah, that ain't it. And I kept going for that. Now, yes, that would have been a really dope anticipation for a logo for me. It represented where I was at that moment. But would that logo still represent me right now on the A&R desk? Like years later, I'm talking about I came out of prison at 28, so I came out hard, I came out rough, and that logo would have represented me then. But would that logo have represented me and make sense? So when you're thinking about logo, don't only get lost in what you mean now. Get lost and broaden your horizons to what it's going to mean later. In your absence, while you're still productive and active, or if you stopped and you wanted a legacy to push forward, what would it mean? And that's the first I in the INC, is the image. You have to be very careful about your image. It might look fly. It might. You got to think longevity. You most definitely do. It might look fly, but does it represent you outside of one moment? So if everybody knows my logo is my face, and not that I hate it. At first I was like, my face, that's just too plain. And you know, my manager at the time, he was like, yo, we're gonna split it, and it had the different meanings and representations. And I was like, you know what? I like it. I like it. I could go with that. And the first thing we did, we put it on shirts, right? We put it on shirts. I actually still have one of the first shirts that we put it on, and we made a stencil. And I was like, I gotta make this face make sense. And that's another thing. Your logo has to make sense, because your logo is what? Branding. What is branding? A branding. If you ever go to a farm and he has his property, his cows, he brands it, right? He steams it with a stamp. So wherever these horses or these cows go, that is me. It's a representation of me. In theory, that's what you want to do with your logo. When you stamp and put that sizzle on anything that represents you, you want that to stick out. And that's the image. Now, the insinuation is how you build this image, how you build up the construct for what this image means. Now, take me. I started off as a rapper, just rapping, got into the music business. As I went through the music business, I started to be an executive, merged back and forth between an executive. I was still building the representation of what I meant, but the image could still represent me through my travels of growth while building and branding. So it was bigger than just putting it on a shirt, because it meant nothing. Just because you have a logo and you put it on a shirt, it means nothing to anyone. They don't buy it because you got a fly logo. They buy it because they bought into what? The insinuation, the image, and the imagination. Now, the imagination of it is the value you built through time. Through time. It takes some time. It could be fast time, it could be long time. But the time you built on your branding, which is also presenting of your logo. That's logo and branding is together. Logo just doesn't mean branding. But the imagination of what you build in your logo pushes the envelope for the insinuation and the image. And how do you build imagination in your logo? By your work. You can have a fly logo, you can have a fly record if you do nothing. Just make music, right? You could just make music and have a logo. There's no story to the logo. There's no imagination to the logo. Therefore, your branding fizzles just to music. So while you keep pushing this, people keep seeing what? Nothing. Maybe some dope music. Some dope music. But people don't buy music because they like you, right? They don't buy music and they don't buy merch because they like you. They buy that because they believe in you and they believe in the story of you. That's what they do. They believe into that. Because if that was dope, if that was true, then half the artists that are on here right now with great music, dope music, will be able to sell out merch left and right. We can't even sell merch to our family. You know why? Because we lack the image, the insinuation, and the imagination, especially with those close to us, which brings us into the end of the INC technique. And this is the INC, ink technique. And before I go deeper into that, we're going to cut because we're not going to make this a lecture. We're still going to have some entertainment and education. But what we're going to do right now, we're going to go into a new release. This is BSF, Black Soprano Family, Tone 066. This is called Federal Flows Part 1. He just dropped this. This video is out today. So we airing this. But before we go into that, the next stage of the INC and the ends is notoriety, being noticed, and being noted. That's three different things. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But let's go into this song right here. That's Black Soprano Family, Federal Flows Part 1. Check this out. This is the official video, y'all.
System working against us, can we get past this? Fathers, sons, uncles, and brothers, this shit is tragic. No wonder we was youngest with coca doing gymnastics. Block booming, West Side Gun doing his ad-libs. We all was out flipping on the mattress. I was out trapping, hammer fully automatic. Had to stash it, had a Mitchell with the NBA patches, but needed a lawyer to get the body on my jacket. My old heads are co-signing. Had fiends forgetting their names. I was selling dimes to that Joe Biden. It's real hard to find a baddie with low mileage. It's easier to find a caddy with no mileage. The streets is done, y'all niggas block intruders. Rap bashing in your raps, y'all went and voted for a prosecutor. Claiming she the right chick, locked up a million niggas on the West Coast that went home and ate a white dick. These rappers can't say shit to me. Fuck the money you got, y'all niggas bitch to me. Get your shit cleared, fam. It's Draco like a big hand. Crush your fucking Cybertruck, you'll die inside a big can. Pussy. No lacking, no slips. I go get it, ain't no rewards for no risk. I like my bitches real nasty, like cold grits. Quick to get it poppin' to leave her mark like old zits. Big moves, I slide up in her bedroom, swim up in her pussy and kill it. She call me Deadpool, curling up an eighth in the Russian cream and blast that. Federal probation, but I'm higher than giraffe ass. 12 years, came up out the fast with the last leg. They took the time from me, couldn't take my mind from me. Kept my pen sharp and got a deal. Ain't God funny? Called the play, I came out the huddle and caught a bomb from me. Earned every bit of my G status. I got my stripes back when all my OGs had it. Juvie, I was sick getting charged for a G package. I drunk the Arctic Blast but never touched the cheese sandwich. First day out, I ain't trying to take the time back. I said a prayer for dirt and welcome slime back. Kingpins going sour, they crush the internet. Rappers stop giving fast the lyrics to intercept.
You heard home team. You heard home team. Shout out to BSF Tone. Shout out. That was a new release. That just dropped. That's hot off the press. Home team did that. Salute to everybody on. If you just jumping on, we got a master class today. And that man just did some master bars right there. Let y'all know some of that feel. Not only was it just barred up, but it was feeling driven. Shout out to you. But if you just jumping on right now, we were having a masterclass on branding. We were talking about some of the things of building a branding, and we up to the end. I have a technique called the INC, and it's called the ink technique. And we just went over the first half of that technique, which is the I, and that's image, insinuation, and imagination. And now we're going to notoriety, being noticed, and being noted. And that's the difference. So once you build your brand, what covers and takes a brand over is the notoriety. It has to have the presentation of the people, not just how them seeing it, but when they see it, what it provokes from what? Your experience, what you display, or your true to essence proof of work, proof of product, proof of anything. You have to build, he said, the triple. Yes, it's the triple. Look at right there. OG said it. OG said it right there. That's the triple. And when you're building your notoriety, you have to really coincide what that means with you. So one thing that I really focused on when I was really getting into the business, I was doing a lot of things behind the scenes. And what I started to use social media to post me in the labels. Now, a lot of people might think that I was using the labels as a way to front or just to show face to my viewers. I actually was playing the labels against themselves because I know they would peek in and look. So I was using the marketing and the notoriety of my work, proof of product, with my labeling. This is why on my page, it's always been my logo, been the page forever. It's never been me. And Valid Vision asked the question, is it good to have another person or another face, a person be the face of your company, of your branding? And I would say no. That is very dangerous, especially when developing your brand. Now, if you're a big brand and you want to sponsor out and have big names or a face be a representative of the company, that works. But when we're building, and I'm talking about from the ground up, when we're building a brand, that's dangerous because one, it gets a lot of litigation, and then they might be tagging to the face's experience and what the notoriety of that person may build, and not really your brand. So if there's a separation of that and the face of that brand goes left, your viewership or your product ship might go left. So building a notoriety, you have to really start putting together your experience so it's represented in your logo. So not just having a logo, putting in the work. We have to do the work and we have to show work. Whether it's doing business deals, whether it's putting out music, whether it's doing shows, you have to keep simulating what you do, how you create, and what you want the people, and merge those into an image where people can see and represent you. Now, I said something that gets a lot of people confusing. Being noticed and being noted. These are the two things, and I had to stop the music. These are the two things that take branding over the hump. Being noticed and being noted. And when I say being noticed, once your work is associated to your logo. Once you put your logo, when people see it, they no longer see a logo. They see the work. They see the work. Everything that you presented and built and showed them, when they see that, it automatically represents what it is. And that's being noticed. When people see that, like, oh, and I'm using I'm going to keep it on me. I put my face everywhere I can. Every single place I go, I put my face. Even if you have no clue of who I am, I put my face. And I say this to say, as you go and then people see that, like, oh shit, Spud was here, it don't automatically resonate, or the rapper, or it doesn't automatically resonate no business. It tells a story, and it takes a while. Now, the confusing thing that I mentioned, and please, if you have, if I'm speedballing, you got a question, ask it. I see Ms. J said, let's talk about co-branding versus joint venture, and we're gonna talk about that too as well. I just want to finish this off real quick. I said being noticed and being noted, right? Being noticed and noted is two different. Noticed is the outside perspective of viewers looking at your branding, your logoing, and representing your work. Being noted is when people who did the work with you understand that your branding is tagged to the work you've done. And that means doing collaborations, working, not just putting stuff out, not just making a brand of a shirt and say, yo, I got logos or I got hoodies, cop from me. No, people don't just cop because you got a fly hoodie. Occasionally you might get one or two, but when it comes to branding, there's a lot more to that, and you want to be noted. And noted means the representation of your work only comes out legitimate. Even if you fronting, it comes out legitimate. And what I mean by even if you fronting, it comes out legitimate. If you rent a Bentley every week, and drive down that same block, it's gonna be noted that that boy pushed foreigns. Now, how you did it don't matter, right? And then that 1 week that you sitting on a step and say, you know what, I'm about to cop them, I'm about to push them, the McLaren, and you put your logo up, or you put on your story your logo, the McLaren coming soon. The notation of the viewership is going to insinuate, we're going back to the eye, with the imagination, going back to the eye, going back to the image, going back to the eye, that is possible. And that's being noted. When someone could associate your activity of your work with your brand, with your experience, you have to show face. You have to show, and that's why I said even if you fronting, because you can front, and that's still branding. It's still brand. McDonald's front every day. They put a billboard with this big ass Big Mac, green lettuce. The cucumber, the pickles is coming out the side. They look real nice. They look like they got cut with the zigzag thing, and then when you go there, it's flat. Your pickles is super flat. It's crazy. Yeah. They did a branding on you, an image on you, and the crazy part, it works so good. We know this shit don't even look like that, but the insinuation, the imagination, the notoriety, how people noticed, and how we know. We still cop it, and that's branding. So that's why I say even if you front. And the ending, and I'm gonna keep it going. MJMG says subliminal messages and putting in your face. Yeah, subliminal or directly in your face. Face to Face said, people know my logos and don't know me. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Because that's also a dual marketing. You can have a logo and they don't know you, but they know what the logo stands for. Now you have to understand what you're branding. And I love that you brought that up. Because a lot of times we don't know what we branding. A lot of times we brand music. If you're an artist or a rapper, we like to brand music, right? Or we like to brand a t-shirt, which that's kind of different. You could brand a t-shirt and get away with it. But as for my fellow artists, my joint get crazy. For my fellow artists, when you're branding, you have to brand yourself alongside your music, or your music will run away from you. I watch it on TikTok every day. You have to brand both, because at the end of the day, you are the product. Your music is the service. Your logo is a representation of who you are, and together in the whole thing, that's branding. That is branding altogether. Yo, Thomas English, What's going on, my brother? We've been missing you on this set, man. Much love to you and your family. Blessings, man. I keep you in my prayers and my hearts, man, for good energy always. Shout out to everybody else on as well. So when it comes to the INC technique, when building your brand, you want to keep in full measure when you first start. And I'm gonna go back to the image, the insinuation. The image, what you create, has to be the test of time for your development, because you will change along your route. You want it to represent who you are. The insinuation, what is going to give off when it sees, and that has to go with the long range. So don't be fearful of the adjustment of what that is, but again, that adjustment has to be parallel to the viewership. And then the imagination, what people see, dream, like, or fantasize about that product, about that service. Going into the end, the notoriety, what people are saying for the work you've done, being noticed. When they see it, does the psyche already presents its value? I'm gonna ask everybody a quick question, especially about being noticed. Rolex, what makes Rolex a dope watch? Please in the chat. Anybody right now could tell me, why is Rolex like the pinnacle of a watch? Like, where did that come from? Why is it anything? I would love to hear it in the chat. Why? And we're gonna talk a little bit more about branding and marketing, but I would like to hear that. Why? Why is that? Why is Bentley a great car? I would like to hear that. If anybody can add that in the chat, and we're going to continue. And then the C's, we're going to jump right into the C's because we're going to have a guest come on shortly. Shout out to Wavy Productions. We're going to take an intermission, and then we're going to have Wavy, a guest, come on. He's going to share a little bit what he's going on, and then we're going to try to jump out of this and go directly into the pitching, and we're going to talk a little bit about the pitching. But let's go into the C's real quick. Let's go into the C's. Ms. Jackson said the crown logo. That's one. Face said history. Now I want to ask face to face, what history? History of what? History of us saying how great of a watch it was? What tells the story of Rolex? Does anyone know the story of Rolex? Because it does have a story, but do we know the story? Or has the notoriety superseded? Have being noticed took it? Have they done enough with the image, the insinuation, and the imagination where now the notoriety has took off to the point where we have created the value of this logo and branding? And the reason why I say that, that's branding at its finest. Because can't no one right now in this chat tell me the story? No one can. I know it. I didn't always know it. I didn't always know it myself. I didn't. And before I even knew it, it already had this big impact on me. But that's branding. I got Wavy's production right now backstage, y'all. And what we're gonna do, he said, I don't know the story. I'm gonna share a little bit about the story after this. But the C in the technique is connection, creativity, and consistency. And we're gonna get into that right after this segment. So but let me start the music. I just want to give a shout out to our guest that's backstage right now. We got Will Wavy Productions. He was on for a few. He's going to be talking about what he does and what he can add to the artists in this new wave of technology and working. Itch 718 said for a 33 and a third, he could tell you he's always working on his third. But this is a clip before we bring our guests on. Blue Wave Unleashed. This is the official trailer. This is an AI trailer of a superhero, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So check this out, and then we're gonna bring the brother on, and we're gonna get right on with this set. So check this out, y'all.
Water is more than an element. It's a force, a guide. It flows with purpose, never resisting its path. It can be gentle, nurturing life, or fierce, carving through stone and reshaping the world. It's everywhere, unseen but always present, quiet yet unstoppable. It teaches us to adapt, to endure, to rise. I've watched water carry burdens, cleanse what's broken, and bring balance to chaos. And like the water, I cannot stand still.
Yo.
I don't fight because I want to, but because I have to. For every storm that rises, For every fire that burns too bright, there must be something to bring it back into balance. That is my role. Not as a savior, but as a force. A ripple that grows into a wave. A wave that can carry hope or deliver justice. Water doesn't choose its course. It simply moves forward. I carry that same purpose, flowing where needed most. Where destruction threatens, I rebuild. Where chaos grows, I bring peace. And when the tides of change rise too high, I stand firm. Not for myself, but for those who can't. The world is vast, its challenges deep, but the water reminds me that even the smallest drops can create the greatest storms. I am just one part of a greater tide. Together, we can rise. Together, we can endure. And when the storm comes, I will be there. Unyielding, flowing ever forward. I am Blue Wave.
Shout out to everybody jumping on. That right there was the trailer to the superhero Blue Wave. What we're going to do right now is we're going to bring the brother on right now. We're going to bring on Will Wavy Productions. Shout it out, y'all. Give him a round of applause. Let's give it another round of applause. Let's get this going. What's going on, my brother?
What's happening?
How you doing? We just went over the trailer. Would you like to just talk a little bit about that before we get into, who you are, what you do, and let the people know how they could get to you?
Yeah, man. So I'm based out of the Bay Area, creative. I'm heavy in the AI video space, which I feel is the future right now. So what you've seen there was just me implementing myself into a superhero character. And I feel like it's going to open the door, for a lot of videos, music videos, storytelling, things like that. Whether you have commercials, products, merch, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be the future. It's going to be the way to go, the new wave. So it's like filmmaking and branding combined, you know what I'm saying? But it's the futuristic, it's the future.
I see that. I like how you put that together. Now, I know it's not as easy as just like, I'm gonna get it done. And this is why you dedicate a lot of your time in creating that. If artists are trying to get into that space or want to work in that space, what are some of the tips you have for artists trying to get into that aspect, or even getting to you to work in that aspect? What's the key elements of that?
Well, to get to me, you can definitely hit me on Instagram, Will Wavy Productions, and I also have a website, www.willwavy.com. But I think for all artists, the first step is ChatGPT. That's number one. Like if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, then you really missing out, because that's kind of where it all starts. Because what you've seen on the video and stuff like that all started with like paragraph prompting, and coming up with an idea, a concept, and kind of putting that into images, and then animating those images and creating a story. So the first step for sure is starting in ChatGPT and just getting all that information and getting all that stuff out your head.
Nice. Now, I know that technology has come into this new wave of space, and there's so many different aspects, and you said something earlier that was really instrumental. You said it's gonna be the direction that happens a lot in that. Do you feel a lot of artists are missing the ball in that aspect and in this space, or do you feel this space is already hit and targeted hard?
I feel like it's kind of like Bitcoin, you know what I'm saying? People know it's there, but they don't really know the impact that it's going to have. And this is like the infant stages. So it's kind of like getting in Bitcoin at under $100, and you just got to kind of, keep investing in it and learning as it goes and grows. Because honestly, if you're in the AI space, at this point, you'll be able to compete with Hollywood. I mean, if you don't have it, I don't feel like you're really going to be able to compete, because if you really think about it, a lot of places say you want to go shoot, you got to get permits. With AI, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Certain actresses for commercials. I can get AI, girls for that, or guys, or whatever it may be. So it's gonna save costs and really allow you to expand your imagination if your pockets, you can't afford certain things like the big guys, the big wolves and big whales and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. And for those that are on right now and don't know, he actually did the short film for the experience for MJMG Presents, which I got a feature in there and all that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Got a feature in that. Now, working with music and film, is there any separation between the two in the direction of how you would put together a product?
For me, no, because I feel like what really catches your attention aside from the visuals is the story behind it. Because you can really put any images together and create a video, but does it really have a story? Does it have substance? Does it have anything behind it? You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference in just shooting, like, say, just a music video, or you really shooting like a story, like a film. I always look at everything as a short film.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep the person engaged with the story and align it with the visuals. You know what I'm saying? It's not really about the effects and the flashes and this and that. It's like, okay, well, how can you evoke emotions out of your viewers?
That's right, and that kind of ties in right into the branding conversation that we was having. Telling the story which gravitates into the users. Now, you not only and the reason why I want to bring this up, just for context space, you not only just do animation, like you're the man with the camera, you do the work. Could you tell leading up to the work? Because I don't want people to just think this is easy and okay, I'm gonna do it. But could you tell, just to give context to like your work history and how you led into this space?
So honestly, really the whole film thing and videography in itself, I really started with like skits and doing funny things and just kind of like just experimenting with the camera, being on there myself. And after that, it kind of led into me dealing with people doing music videos. My friends, like rapping, like, you shoot music videos. So that's kind of where I really got into the game, is music videos and doing things of that nature. Moving forward, I got into the weddings. So, I've been doing weddings for about 8 years now. So, that was a whole different beast in itself, which I really got into at first, but, I knew it made good money. But after a while, I started to meet, good people and stuff like that. But, balancing all that, my personal work and doing music videos and doing weddings, it's a lot of work just sitting down and editing, taking time out of my real life to even get a lot of these things done. You can imagine, man, I've done hundreds of weddings while also, doing my own work, being a dad. It's a lot of balance and that people don't see behind the scenes, staying up late nights and doing edits and clipping a clip, maybe this short just to make it fit the sync, you know what I'm saying, make it look good.
And that's why I wanted to give a little bit more context to it, because I wanted to show people that it still takes some of the work. Like, I know AI seems like a shortcut to many, and if you still develop the time and the dedication into growing into the craft, you'll be able to master everything. Ms. Jackson has put in the chat, this is our business partner in animation, hit us up. Yes, everybody, yes, most definitely reach out. What's in store for that space that you think artists could maximize and grow from?
I think now it's just like you said, branding. So say for instance you have some merch. Now you can incorporate that merch into a video and maybe be in Paris. Maybe you can't afford to go to Paris, but guess what? Now you can implement yourself in a scene in Paris and, rep your merch or your music, or double brand it. You advertising your music, you advertising your brand. It's just so many things you can do and, compete with those that have maybe a little more capital, but it's really about the creativity. It's not even about the money, because money gonna come and go. You're gonna be down, you're gonna be up. But the creativity is where you really win. That's why I said it's all about storytelling and things like that.
You hitting it on the nose. Just from your perspective as a man who's, like, I'll say, behind the camera, and in many ways a lot of the people behind the board, behind the camera, behind the pen don't really see so much, but don't really get their perspective. So from a person from behind the scenes that make a lot of things happen, what do you think is one of the main or a few errors that creatives do when working with a professional like yourself?
So for me, whenever I approach a shoot, I actually did this in another video. So the thing is, what people don't understand is when you're dealing with a professional, we're editing before we shoot. So I might go into the field for a music video, and I already know what I'm gonna do with the shot when I get into post. I'm not going into the shot just shooting something random. There's a reason behind anything, and that takes practice. You know what I'm saying? And knowing certain techniques and methods of editing and things like that to have that knowledge. Okay, we're gonna shoot this at this time because the sun is gonna be right here, and I think when I make this transition later, it'll fit better than if we shoot at 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And just knowing those small little intricacies and techniques can make a difference in just shooting a video where you're just moving the camera around or something that's really gonna captivate the audience and make them want to watch it again and look back and be like, wait a minute, that has some meaning. You know what I'm saying? It has some kind of substance to it. I'm gonna watch it again and keep watching it.
I agree. And I want to tell the artists and anybody, when you're working with a photographer or engineer or anyone who's helping you, please take some heed into their professionalism, because they're like he said, usually they are working not only in the moment, but they're working for the after, so the pre and the post is active. They got a really good concept. So respect the person being your producer, your photographer, get to know them. I got another question before we go and let you do your closeout. Ms. Jackson asked, how was it working on the experience video?
Working on the experience was definitely a new experience, just because a lot of these AI tools are new. So, with anything, we don't have it put together. It's like a puzzle. Once you see 1,000 pieces in front of you, it's like, dang, this don't look like it's going to look good. But once you get the first corner done and you get that bottom corner done, it's okay, now we're creating a piece. So, I like to be challenged. So I like to not know everything before I go into something, because now I can learn how to do it for the next time. So this was a great experience to learn how to do something like this the next time, and I can eliminate, some of the speed bumps and hurdles that I went through the first time, and I know how to approach it better this time. So it turned out good. It turned out, way better than I envisioned in my mind. So I'm glad I was able to, be a part of it.
And I remember you saying, like, you know what? After doing this video, you was like, if anybody likes this, everything after is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. I told you this the worst you're gonna see. That's the scary part. This the worst you're gonna see. So, and people don't really understand that this is moving faster than like iPhone. So, before you know it, you got to get on the train now before you're gonna get left behind.
Yes, that is the phrase you use. This is the worst you're gonna see, and I love that. I love that energy, and I love the fact that you brought up, you love being challenged and not knowing and figuring out. And I think that's really one big part of being creative in any space, whether it's music and film. Never forgetting to keep learning and puzzle piece the growth to get that picture out of your head and in the public. Again, for everybody that's on, if they want to reach out, I know Ms. Jackson already put in the chat, like, yo, holler at us, let us know what's going on. But if anybody want to check out more of your work and get an idea of like what's some of the things that you've done and been involved with, where could they go and check that? Where could they tap in to see more about you?
I would definitely tap the Instagram, Will Wavy Productions, the Big Wave Official. I got a couple pages. Also the website, willwavy.com. And let's work. This is the way of the future. I'm telling you right now, if you don't get involved now, a few years from now, it's gonna be too late trying to catch up. So hop on the train now.
I love that. Thank you for jumping on, my brother, real quick, sharing with the people. We most definitely gonna have you on the set. We're gonna do a full length. It really correlated to the branding and the pitching, what I'm gonna talk about shortly after this. But again, thank you for jumping on real quick and giving some insight to the people.
Indeed. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, my brother. You have a good one.
All right.
That was Wavy right there, y'all. Shout out to Wavy Productions, Will Wavy Productions. He shared a little about you. Ms. Jackson already put in the chat. That's our business partner. Before I get right back into the branding, and those that just jumped on, we were talking about branding, and we're going to transition into pitching. I do want to share a situation with Wavy and Ms. Jackson. He did the work for us. We actually started to collaborate and do a partnership with all three of us to get some of this work done. And seeing the brother not only in the productive space, but in the business space, and how we approach business in that space is very instrumental of how you grow as a partnership, as a brand, as a production, production. So not only work on your presentation of your product, but also work on the presentation of your business. Because if people don't like you as a business person, they don't give a fuck about your product. And with that being said, we're gonna go into a Carlito Black video. You know, we gotta have education and entertainment. We're gonna go into ULOD part 2, and then we're gonna get back to the master class. We're gonna finish off the INC technique, that's the inks technique, and we're gonna go right into pitching. So check this out. This is Carlito Black. He's back with another one. ULOD part 2. He aired part 1 last week, so this is part 2. Check it out, y'all. We'll be right back.
This is what we doing. You wanna play games and I'm supposed to accept it. Yeah, I see you calling my phone, but you know the reason I ain't answering. You do. Me and you. I thought we had something special, but you wanted to play games. You did. Yeah.
You begged me to stay. Said you refused to be finished, had your back and held you down, and you still did me wicked. I knew the whole time, but you act like I was tripping. You moved as a snake, like I can hear it when you hiss and do wrong. Can't take the blame, girl, so you play victim. Why? Wanna be my girl again, but can't be a friend of me. Stab me in my back, your whole vibe screaming enemy. You toxic, so your company gonna be misery. Pick the stranger over me, even though we had history. No time for the lies, that's why you don't even hear from me. Whenever I was wrong, I took full responsibility. Got rid of all your pictures, no need for the bad memories. I gave you something real, you gave me fake and bad energy. Fake tears, now you defensive, looking for sympathy. I'm a G, but you found a way to score me mentally. I'm a G, but you found a way to score me mentally. Can't even lie when you lied, I knew the whole time. Confirm my mind about everything you try to hide. Knew what I seen, but you played like I was blind. Telling me you mine with someone on the side. Can't even lie when you lied, I knew the whole time. Confirm my mind about everything you try to hide. Knew what I seen, but you played like I was blind. Telling me you mine with someone on the side. You had me livid when you said all was for attention. Gotta be kidding, you know that's something you was getting. Pay attention and everything, so I peep you moving different. Talk behind my back with the quickness, selling all of your business. A lot of lies, reckless talks about my image. All that to justify actions that was wicked. But face to face, my love, you talking about you really missing. Could've told everybody, but it's nobody's business. Not insecure or with none of the phone business. Your actions alone is the thing that raise suspicion. Speak on my flows like that really gave you permission. Could've kept it real, but you kept lying, so relentless. Minds don't matter, it was all about your feelings. I could've spazzed, but guilt is something you gotta live with. And karma is something real that you gotta deal with. And karma is something real that you gotta deal with. Can't even lie when you lied, I knew the whole time. Confirm my mind about everything you try to hide. Knew what I seen, but you played like I was blind. Telling me you mine with someone on the side. Can't even lie when you lied, I knew the whole time. Confirm my mind about everything you try to hide. Knew what I seen, but you played like I was blind. Telling me you mine with someone on the side.
That's Carlito Black right there. I'm playing the wrong record. Let me get back to it. Carlito Black got more records than some people got, more videos than people got songs. That boy dropped like 3 years straight. I ain't see the same video. I give it to him. I'll give it to him on that. All right, we're gonna keep the set going, right? We're gonna continue with the master class real quick, right? So for those that's jumping on, we had the INC. We're gonna get into the C part of that, which is connection, creativity, and consistency. Now, connection is one of the biggest misconceptions of your branding, right? We love to put our logo and our stuff anywhere. And I'm gonna show you a quick disconnection. I could walk up into a church right now with a whole bunch of A&R Desk shirts and be like, yo, I got A&R Desk shirts, A&R Desk shirts, right? I could print up 1,000 of them. People be like, what is that? We don't got no associate. That's the connection to your brand. You want to get your brand into the demographics that you're trying to connect. And you want to play off what? Go back to the end, your notoriety, being noticed, and being noted. And you want to bring that to your image, your insinuation. So you want to bring all that into the environments that you're trying to stimulate, who's going to perpetuate your whole branding image. Just like Rolex, like we was talking about earlier about Rolex. We perpetuate its imagery, its insinuation, the notoriety. We do that. And then we see rappers, or we see famous people, or we see celebrities, or we see rich folks wearing these brands. And what does that do? It continues the branding. It's a luxury brand, right? That's because why? We see the notoriety. We see who purchased it. We see who that. So the connection to your branding is very important, because you want to get that in the places that's going to what? Continue the storyboard for you. Because they bought into it, because now they become what? Marketing tools, because now they're walking away with your product. And this is one thing that we lose a lot in our branding, is the connection, because we're so quick to just want to put it any and everywhere, when we actually lose connection and then we get stuck with it. The next C is creativity. You always have to find creative ways to create your shelf life. Every artist, every musician, every product, everything in life has a shelf life, right? Has a shelf time, right? I mean, you could even be in a relationship and it gets stale, you know? So you gotta find your ways to keep igniting your brand. You have to keep, just because you was hot rapper in the 80s or in the early 90s or the 2000s, you think you popping, it doesn't. Take G Unit. There was a time you saw the G in the unit and you went crazy, right? Now you see it and you're like, oh yeah. The ignitement of that has not continued in the branding of G Unit. But 50 Cent figured out the marketing. I am going to market me now. It ain't about music. And the duality of his product of music and him started to do this, where him as a brand went to the highest mark. And that's what you have to always do. You always have to find creative ways to keep the shelf life going. And the last thing is consistency. Consistency. And I say consistency is the key, but proficiency is the doorway. And the thing about consistency, people think I just gotta keep putting out music and being consistent. No, you have to be consistent with the development of you and your music. That's where people go wrong. They get consistent with music, but they're not consistent with themselves. They're not branding themselves. They're not pushing themselves. They're not growing as an artist, being creative, looking at different ways and new markets to connect. So you have to be consistent more than just putting your logo on a shirt and making sure you never run out of inventory. Because we don't give a fuck about how much sweaters you got with your face or your logo or the A&R desk on it. None of that means nothing without the backstory and being consistent in different ways of developing that. And stop looking at the market that you don't have outside of your consistency. And what I mean is, we'll look at something. I saw someone pushing I think it was a shirt, a sweatsuit. It was a sweatsuit. And he said, yo, I keep only getting 80 likes. 80 likes, 100 and something views, man, my shit ain't jumping. And I said, how much does your sweatsuit cost? And he was like, 50. And I said, you got 80 likes. What if you moved all 80 at 50 a mark? So times your 50 times 80. How much you make? And he's saying it like, so I said, so you worrying about who's not involved to miss out who is? And that's part of the one thing that destroys our consistency. We looking at everything past us. Damn, why I'm not hitting these people? And the five people will turn to 10, to turn to 15, because they'll buy into your market, and they'll be like the rapper who wears Rolex, right? And then people see that like, yo, he wears Rolex, and then his story gives the Rolex more power, and then the next person's story give power. So if you get some 5 people to wear your clothes, listen to your music, and really love it, when they go out, their story becomes the transition of your branding, because people like, yo, I fuck with Spud. Yo, I saw Spud wearing some shirt the other day. Yo, Spud, what's that? Yo, that's my man, this and this and this. Yo, now, everything that I am to my connection of the people, and it goes back to the connection, the seeing it, now it gets transferred for people to buy into you. So when you're branding, I'm telling you, use this ink technique, the INC, image, insinuation, imagination, notoriety, being noticed, and being noted. Connection, creativity, and consistency. You will win. You will win. Trust and believe you will win. Now, it's going to take work. It's going to take some time. And that's one thing we be missing out on. We're going to go into another song, and then we're going to go right into the pitching. Shout out to everybody jumping on. Today was a masterclass. We were talking about branding. We're going to talk about pitching next. And this is something that I see a lot that people mess up on, is the pitching. But this is from the SY, Sneaky First Management. This is from Kiwi Soul. This song is called Misunderstood. Let's check this break out and we're gonna come right back with the pitching. And this is gonna be the 4 R's of pitching. Let's check this out. MSJ, I'm gonna get to your question about Rolex.
I laid my heart up on this table. Only love me if you're able. Tongue gets so damn twisted. It's been a few years since I didn't cry this many tears. So I face my fears when I decided to be here with you. My mind ain't right. Those were the lies you told me. Now when you hold me, I feel lonely. It's like the girl you love is just the old me. Go back, I would. But where the love was, I stood trying. Don't try to change me, I'm good. I like you misunderstood, darling. I'm the big mistake, but you're the one who's crying. I'm the one who's crazy, you're the one who's lying. Oh, this shame so misplaced. When you spoke curses, I heard my name. Oh, I lost it when I thought that you might be the one. Oh, I just can't concentrate.
Her name is Kiwi Soul, SOL.
Feel when your life fell apart. Didn't think it'd be this hard without me. Go back, I would. But where the love was, I stood trying. Don't try to change me, I'm good. I like it misunderstood, darling. I'm not crazy, maybe I am. But when you call me baby, I just can't concentrate. Yeah, my toxic lullaby. Go back, I would. But where the love was, I stood trying. Don't try to change me, I'm good. I like it misunderstood, darling. Don't try to change me, baby. I like it, I like it, I like it. Misunderstood, baby. Misunderstood. I like it.
All right. That was Kiwi Soul with Misunderstood, coming straight out of the SYFM Collective Camp. Yes, correct, my brother. Kiwi Soul, really dope record. I like the sound of that. They did that. All right, if you're just jumping on, we were going over branding. We just finished the branding ink technique. We're gonna go into the 4 R's of pitching. Now, pitching is something that I see a lot of people have a miscommunication on what the goal and the approach of pitching. The concept of pitching something, it basically boils down to, I have something and you have the means of making it happen. That's what it boils down. If I'm pitching something to someone, they have the means of making it happen. And if you come to someone to pitch something, they know this shit, bro. I gotta say it like this. They know this. If you come to them to pitch it, there's something you want from them. And that right there is a resistant blocker right there, because we get lost in the concept of why we're pitching and how to maximize the pitching. What I'm about to share with you is something that I've not only used with record labels, I've used it in business situations, I've used it with TikTok and Instagram when I'm doing their pitching or negotiating or consulting, everything. I use this whenever I'm dealing with people to have that bridge of communication. And it's the 4 R's. Relationship, reliability, redefining, and research. And we're going to talk a little bit about these 4 things when you're pitching. When you have a product, you have a service, you have something, and you're going to the person to pitch that. The first R in lineup for me is the relationship. And now it's not necessarily the relationship between me and you. No, fuck me and you. It's the relationship of the product or the service that I have to you. You have to make your product or your service have a relationship to the people or the organization you're pitching to. I am not going to a rock and roll company pitching rap music. I am not going to the fish market to sell beef. I am not. And a lot of times we go to these pitches because we look at the value of what they have, whether it's money, circumstances, connection, and we forget the relationship to the product we're pitching. Now, if we're pitching something to someone, obviously they didn't come to us. So we have to make that relationship. We miss that mark a lot, y'all. I get people come to me with all kind of ideas, from barbershops, you name it. Bro, I cut my own hair. Every day I cut my hair, bro. Iron Man, my man Booker O was in Vegas with me. Every day I woke up, I cut my hair, bro. I don't go to a barber. We miss the connection when we pitch and stuff, and you got to build that relationship to your product, to the individual you're talking to. If you have a direct service that they can apply from, you can. Now, the second R is reliability. Reliability. Spoil, you just sell pork. You want to sell pork. I ain't selling pork, bro. That's like selling pork to a Muslim. It ain't happening, right? But reliability. And when I say reliability, I'm not talking about like, oh, you could trust in me. No, the product. When you want to send something to a pitch, you got to show the consistency and the stability of the product for the person you pitch into. Don't pitch maybes. We could create all the possibilities of maybes. I could sit here and tell y'all right now, yo, bro, yeah, I got $500, man. I got these shirts. I got someone who'll sell me shirts for $1, bro. We're gonna slap my logo on it. We're gonna sell it for 10. All I need you to do, blah, blah, blah. He said, how I know that's gonna sell? Bro, I'm getting them for $1, and we're gonna sell it for 10, bro. We're gonna make well over, bro. That's a $9 profit on everything we spend. Now, in theory, that sounds amazing. There's no proof to the reliability that shit is gonna sell. And a lot of times, especially with merch, we love counting the money before we can sell it. Yeah, I'm getting it at $1. I'm getting it at $8. I'm gonna sell it for 50. Ooh, I'm gonna make a flip. Yeah, you make a flip if somebody buy that shit. And that's what we do with pitching all the time. We look at the idea and the concept of the possibilities instead of the reliability of how. So you got to prove it. You got to have analytics. You got to have proof of sale. You got to have a concept of how you're going to move this. How is it going to work if we work together? And I need to see something that's reliable to the concept of what you're saying. So we got to have the relationship to the product. We got to show the reliability to the product. And then that goes back to redefining. Now, if you can't hit all 4s, if you can't hit 4, right? Sometimes we don't have the proof, that is reliable. We don't. Sometimes we don't. We got an idea and it's fresh. So we can't prove that. This is one thing that's very important if it's redefining. You got to show how this piece, this product can change not only the perspective, the viewpoint, or make money. It has to be something that sparks the curiosity to move forward. And that's redefining. If I come up with something and I say, yo, I've never sold this, but I got a product right now that could just make t-shirts with no equipment. Like I just hit this button and it make t-shirts. Now there's no proof of that product, but if I could show that, right? If I could show that, make that, that's redefine it. I could get every factory, and that was far-fetched, but I could get every factory to buy into that with no reliability. I never done it before, but I got the equipment to do it. And that's one thing when you're pitching. If you got an idea, a service or something, and you don't have the reliability, you got to think about how redefining it. How will it affect the growth of the individual you are working with that you want their money? Because that's what it basically, let's keep it real. That's what it basically boils down to. I need your money, or I need your service, or I need your experience and connections. I need you. You have to do that. And the biggest thing out of them all, the last R out of them all, is research. You know how many times people come to me? Someone came to me recently in the last 2 days to talk some business. They were talking music business. And he's gonna say, yeah, man, I love what you're doing, bro. I know you're doing the A&R desk joint, bro. You be in them offices and all that, man. You know what I'm saying? I think this artist could really take off, bro. Yo, you do, you know anybody who got a studio or anybody who engineer? I'm sitting there like, so then you don't know me. You don't know me. And that right there just rubbed me. I was just like, nah, I'm cool. Everything he said after that was like, wah, 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 was like peanuts, like Charlie Brown. I didn't even want to hear it. We don't do a lot of the research of the people we come into. A lot of times we just look at what we see the value in and we target that. I'm going to give you a true to life example of how research can change everything. This is true to life. I walk into the Sony building. Richard, who was the CEO of the Sony Broadcasting, I'm going to keep it real, Sony Broadcasting, right? I go in there, he tells me, and I'm going to say this on air, he tells me and Sincere, who was in the room with me at the time, you guys are perfect. You guys do all the work, you guys work hard, but you do not look like us in this office. Yeah, we weren't white. Fuck you, Richard. We weren't white, and I'm going to keep it real. We weren't white. He loved our service. He loved everything we were doing, but he just didn't want us around because we were black. And he said, because the office, that's what he said to us in the meeting. Matter of fact, I still got the footage of this shit, right? He said, y'all don't look like us, right? And in that 1 minute, in that 1 second, I said, before we left, I said to him, and I hope the Giants lose. That man looked up. Is that what you say? I said, I hope the Giants lose. He said, why would you say that? He got real serious. Everyone in the room looking like, what's going on? And he said, then who you think gonna beat us? I said, anyone, the Browns? He said, the Browns? You wanna put a wager on that? I said, yeah, I'll put a wager on that. He said, what you wanna put? How much? I said, not how much. I wanna show I could do better than every A&R in your room. Let's do it. This idiot, I read a whole article about how his whole life was based around the Giants because his father was a Giants fan and he marveled over his father. And anything that compares to the Giants in his life makes him want to go far and push hard. I did my research. I knew what triggered him and I knew what would bother. I knew what would get a response. And I'm not saying just to go get a response. I'm not saying that. But if you know a little bit about the person and you have some idea, sharing that in your pitch, especially if it correlates to what you're doing, is magic. Shout out to Brett. Shout out to my man Brett at Republic Records. When I first pitched an idea to Brett, I read mad articles about him. And Brett made a comment in the Rolling Stones that he said, you know, me being president of Republic Records, I want to give the artistry back to the artists. I really want to find a way to do that. And I remember that statement. And the first day I met Brett, first day I met him, he shook my hand. We was in his office. He actually ended a meeting because of it. And we were talking and I was like, you know, Brett, bringing back the artistry back to the artists is something. And he sat up and I was like, yeah, your Rolling Stone article in November, that was very powerful, man. And you also mentioned how transitioning from worldly music into niche music, how you're trying to broaden the horizon for those who might not reach the demographic. And he was like, yeah, man. And then the whole interview, they didn't even realize. They didn't even realize that it was no longer about me. They were basically pitching to me. Yeah, because you know what we want to do, man? We trying to really make this and this happen. I'm like, oh, really? You know, I could tackle that. Yeah. You know, we also got the studio. Hold on. Take this guy's email real quick. I didn't even have to ask for anything. And have to ask any, you know why? Because most times when we're pitching, the mistake we make when we pitching is that we're always trying to take. Yo, I need this. Yo, I'm gonna be the next one. Give me money. Yo, I need this. And the person you're pitching to never has no place in the pitch. You just wanna take from me. When you're pitching with someone in collaboration and work, you got to show me what I get out of it. So do your research. Come with something redefining. Have some reliability. And connect that relationship between the two parties so that way when you're pitching it, it's not like you're just taking. You're giving something, and in return they're giving you something, and you both grow. And that's one big problem with pitching, y'all. That is a super big problem with pitching. With that being said, we're gonna go into this one right here. This is She's Looking for Love by Ty Owens. This is a Valid Vision submission. Check this out, y'all.
Why you crying? He did what? Don't even worry about it. I got you. I knew this girl for about a whole year. Just the other day, she was shedding all tears. More stories about how a man hurt her. He don't treat her how I treat her. And she think the nigga knows it. She ain't even sleep with him. When he asked, she say no. Now when he screaming leave it, she just tell a nigga go. And every time she get tight, he be snooping through her phone. He call my number, I told him. She looking for love. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. She needed a thug, nigga. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her. Yeah, I can't forget the day we first met. Yeah, I know all about them stories about when you first left. She met a real nigga that can keep her warm. When it's cold and lonely, ain't nobody to hold. She just wanna be talked to and let her long walk. She don't care about car or material things. He'll know if he know her. Constantly walking out. Then she calling me like, this what I'm talking about. And when we get together, I make her feel good. Always tell her she's smart, she keep it so hood. Never complain, always willing to ride. Know about the life I'm living, building that girl pride. You know you should have been doing. Instead, you always split, left with a wild road. I'ma let her decide, you lucky cause I shoot ya. What you ain't know by your actions that you can lose her. I'm on my way to scope her. She left him lonely, but he blowing up her phone still. Sending texts like, baby, I know I'm wrong, yeah. She feeling good about herself now and she don't care. So all that swearing and begging ain't going nowhere. And this nigga got the nerve to call me back. Like, leave my girl alone, I ain't really trying to see that. I said, word, then why you preaching that to me, black? I laughed through the phone and told her, she looking for love. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. She needed a thug, nigga. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. She needed a thug, nigga. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her. And by the way, everything been great so far. And now you see that it's real. You wanna go hard, but it's too late, homeboy. Go find your own bra, cause that's my new girl. Now that's your old chick. And by the way, how you did it, that was some cold shit. Now she got a rider that she can roll with. And when we get troned up, we always going in. To when it's dark outside into the morning. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. She needed a thug, nigga. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her. She looking for love. She searching for comfort. She needed a thug. And I'm gon' love her. I'm gon' love her.
Shout out to Cash on that submission. Boy got an ear for real. Boy got an ear for real. Alright, y'all, before we go, I'ma share one more experience of pitching and how you can make that connection and how a lot of people mess up, and we're gonna end the night I think Castro did send one more. Yeah, he actually did send one more. He sent Fleas. Shout out to my boy Fleas. I saw he was on. It's called Walk in My Shoes. I think we're going to close the night off with Walk in My Shoes right after this. We're going to end the night. But salute to everybody on the app as well that was showing love all night while watching us. Oh, Miss Jackson said, please, the Rolex. Yes. All right. So before I go into that, So Miss J, what made Rolex one of the most instrumental things throughout the time is they didn't have enough material to make enough watches in production. So what they started to do, a lot of people don't know, Rolex is actually like a non-profit in a sense, how they run it. They don't run it like a complete business, right? So what they did was they would contact who they wanted the Rolex to be on. When they first started, they looked at politicians, celebrities, and everybody, and they would craft a handmade piece for this individual to wear. And then they came out with the presidential. And the presidential piece was like that, like the big boy of it all, right? So what they would do is they would make day dates or day date or something, or one of those brands, that one of the lines under for individuals, and then people created like a secret society in a sense because only certain individuals had it. When it built up enough momentum, they started to make like the Submarinas and the Daytonas and all these other ones that they were putting on the market for sale. Because people couldn't get the big name, they would go and get the little one or the next one under. And it created a nostalgia of pieces because they would offer it to certain individuals. That's why you don't really see a lot of Rolex commercials. You don't see that. You might see a little Tiger Woods or someone holding it. You don't see a lot. And then they created those pieces. And then what they did for the value of that was they started to make a registry of the pieces. Yes, there's a registry of Rolexes. Like my Rolex right now, if I sell it, they'll be able to tell who had what, which also created what? Going back to selling the notoriety of the piece, because if you hear a piece, say if so-and-so had this piece, they have tons of people wanting to get the Rolex because an individual had it. And now you're getting the stories of everybody who owned it, which is creating what? The imagery, the insinuation of the piece. And then, like Miss Jackson said, they put a crown as their logo. A crown. What does a crown insinuate? Top of the line, king, ruler. They put a crown on their piece. They created a community. Yep, and they use influencers. Yep, and they use that as branding. And they use minimal branding to continue the branding because it doesn't get whitewashed or watered out. And that's the story with Rolex. And don't get me wrong, I could sell it back at a good value, so it does help. It does help that, but that is one of the key things of their branding. They use, if you want to run down the INC, their image was a logo. The insinuation when they gave it out to individuals that were of status created the imagination of the value. Damn, so-and-so got it. How come I need to get it? I got to find a way to get it. And then when those famous people or those rich people actually had the notoriety of it, they were being noticed. The brand was getting noticed. What timepiece is that? It's a Rolex. Oh, wow. And then that gets what? Noted. And what does that create? A connection between luxury, success, money. And then what they do, they find creative ways. New celebrities, new companies, new designs, new colors, and then the consistency of the craftsmanship, because they do make really great watches. I mean, it doesn't need a battery. Ever. It's a lifetime watch. As long as I'm moving, it works. Can't beat that, right? But branding takes a lot. But like I said, I was gonna give y'all a quick story of pitching and how someone messes up with pitching. She said, I thought it was the hardware. No, the hardware is really good. It's a really good piece. Don't get me wrong. It's a really good piece, but I love watches. And a Rolex compared to an Invicta, right? People be like, oh, he's wearing an Invicta. Invicta makes a stronger quality watch. It just doesn't have the branding and the notoriety of a Rolex. But there are watches out there that can compete in quality, but not in its brand and in its notoriety. You can't compete. You know what I'm saying? It's just not happening because they invested the time to do it. So that's just to give you a little inkling of the branding. Music said we created a community with OGs only by giving hats on Venice Beach to locals. You gotta find that niche. Going back to the branding, creativity and consistency is a thing. But before I go, I had enough time, man. Shout out to everybody that hung out. Hope this was viable. Take from it what you want, add to what you wish. I'm just sharing some of the things that I've used. I've used these techniques daily, every chance I get. It's not something that I just pitch for people to do. This is something that I actually use. And just to give you another example of the pitching, I remember our first sit down with Massive Pill Records with Askia Fountain, who was the vice president, and Nas's partner, Peter Benderbiter, right? We were in the office having a meeting, and we were pitching. I was representing Sin. Sincere was an artist at the time, and we was shopping him, and he asked me to sit in the meeting. And we sat in the meeting, and we did the old typical, yo, he's gonna do this, he's gonna be the one next, we did all that, and of course what? We got shot down. When we came back into the A&R meeting, I heard them talking about working on opening the studio to artists, and they wanted to do a whole entire project of artists that they open a studio and drop a compilation. They wanted to drop a compilation, and I'm in the A&R meeting. I'm in the A&R meeting and sitting there, and as the time goes, Jungle walks in, and they're telling Jungle, yo, how are we gonna approach, signing, open up the studio, getting artists to come in. So they had like Dave East, Q, they had A Boogie, they had a whole bunch of artists coming in, recording Styles P. And in the meeting, I say to them real quick, I say, hey, I do engineering and I do A&R, right? But I got a question. I know you want to work on artists that coming into the studio, but you have a list of artists that already signed. Why not have the artists that are signed come together with the new artists, and then you could use that as a promotional tool and then tag on to their demographics? And they were like, yeah. And I said, I got something I would like to offer. I know y'all looking for the A&R and the engineers for this. I would like to sit in or possibly engineer an A&R for this. And before they could finish, so now I already related the conversation because I'm feeding them the idea of what they just said. So I already got their interest because they already brought this up. I'm showing the reliability because you got an artist, you're getting new artists, you already got the studio. Now this is where I'm going for the redefining, because the research was active. And this is how I did, he said, shout out, King Shooter, yeah. We was there when Jungle was doing the signing for him, man. We was doing the signing. But this is where I did the redefining. Before they could continue on the why, I said, listen, let's cut costs where I'll come in for free. They're like, free? I was like, yeah, I'll engineer, I'll do the studio, I'll come in every night you need me. Don't worry about it. And it was like, free? I was like, yeah, free, I'll do it. It's okay, we'll come in. And it's like, you sure? Now the question wasn't yes or no more. It threw them off because now they're looking at costs. I injected myself into a situation that I showed value to them because I cut their costs to make what happened for them go. Me, I'm like, okay, I'm building my motherfucking Rolodex, bitches. Oh yeah. I'm in there talking to Dave East. I'm in there talking to all the presidents and everybody. I'm in there working. And I'm working double time because I'm doing my job. I'm not just hanging out, I'm doing my job. I'm making sure stuff is go. I'm telling Dave East, do this video. I'm in there working, but I'm also working. And that's what, when you're doing your pitch, never forget the idea of the goal of the person in front of you. Don't just get lost in what you need, because what I wanted to do was get in that space. I wanted to get in that space. I could have easily say, I charge this amount for engineering. They would have paid that. But guess what? I would have just been an engineer. In 2 weeks, guess what we were doing? Not only were we handling Mass Appeal, but we were also handling Street Dreams, which is Jungle's record label, which had King Shooter, which was distributed by Mass Appeal. And we was running every session, the Dave E session, the A Boogie sessions, you name it. And that was the pitch. I did my research actively. I knew what they wanted. I made a connection of how they can make what they're doing better. I put me in it, and I redefined it by offering them a service which they didn't have to pay for, cut their costs. It's a win-win. You want to do this. And then look what we end up getting. So I want to share that with everybody on here right now. Make sure when you're pitching, you don't just think about you. You think about the person you're pitching. And if you want to be successful in your pitch, find a way to make what you got going on, make them get it going on too. I'll support Brooklyn. Thank you for hanging out. Shout out to everybody that submitted music.
The A&R desk was Spud Brooklyn.
Know your boundaries. Push your boundaries. Break some boundaries. Consistency is the key, but proficiency is the doorway. Don't keep doing something that doesn't make sense, because it won't make sense, and it damn sure won't make sense. Shout out to y'all, man. Have a good one. This is Walk in My Shoes. Fleas. I'll see y'all next week, y'all.
Yeah.
Stay. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. This ain't friend shit.
Shit for the
This is
gang, though.
work shit.
The usual. Let's get this shit done. Look, every time I took a loss, it just prepared me for the win. I just wonder how my dog took that 30 on the chin. Every time I make it back, putting 30 up again. I wanted 30 under 30, I might spend it on my friends. See, I talk different, they know I'm all in it. When it's your turn and you ain't ready, you might forfeit it. Don't go forcing it. Take your time, you gotta breathe. Pick your chin up, young nigga. You know Stephen really Steve. See, we fought for this. That's why I talk different. Ain't no fighting all these demons. I just walk with them, sit them down, take them to the church, really talk to them, motivate the streets. They power out, give a spark to them. That's the difference. Yeah. You feeling me now? How the mess hold trays, turn the dinners at your house. How my mama home girls stop and tell me they proud. Just know I did it for the gang. I had to say it out loud.
Come walk a mile in my shoes. Where these niggas claim they want you to win, but they really never want you to win. Come walk a mile in my shoes. Where niggas try to say they made you who you are, but they ain't never helped you shooting in gym. Come walk a mile in my shoes. Bet you they ain't gon' last, cause I've been through it all and I'm solid. Come walk a mile in my shoes. They want me in the wrong bag. I go through a lot of shit, but I got it. Come walk a mile in my shoes. The time, so this for the savages that need a meal. I'm dedicated cause I need a meal. They discredit you for being real. They gon' be mad at your opinion, not the facts, and I'ma keep it real. I wrote this shit with my head high. In my hood, they letting that lead fly. When you focus on the bigger goals, nigga, that's when the bread rise. I learned not to give a fuck. I learned how to dead ties. Your close friends change when they get a new one. Ain't changing my identity, ain't gotta get a new one. They speak on ops getting shot when they ain't never shoot one. Speaking on other niggas' drills when they ain't never do one. I'm still a savior for the weak. Designer and all my trippy shooters, they elite. I'm still a savior for the weak. Cut out my heart before I ever face defeat. But they can't. Come walk a mile in my shoes. Where these niggas claim they want you to win, but they really never want you to win. Come walk a mile.